When I came into office, I changed the law on housing to create the housing fund and the housing levy. Why? Because one of the programs that has potential to create millions of jobs, and this is not just in Kenya, this is globally. And I changed the law because the Housing Act that was passed in Kenya was passed at the same time as the Housing Act in Singapore. The difference is that Singapore made progress on their program on housing. We did not. And so I changed the law. I know it was a difficult decision. We had a robust conversation in Kenya. Today, let me tell you where we are. Today, because of the housing fund, we have 160,000 people working in the housing program. 160,000. People who are not working a year and a half ago. Today, we have engineers, we have quantity surveyors, we have architects, we have electricians, we have masons, we have carpenters, we have steel fixers, we have a whole ecosystem of people who manufacture steel, people who manufacture cement, people who manufacture concrete, an array of businesses that have been created by the housing fund. We are building at the moment 103,000 housing units, including the ones I launched yesterday in Matuga. I launched the first phase in Matuga yesterday. I will be back here in Mombasa to launch the first 2,000 housing units in Nyali. There are programs that we have already, programs across Kenya, in 43 counties across Kenya that are undergoing this program, so that we not only create jobs, but we also create opportunities for business, and we also deal with the challenge of informal settlements and create living conditions for Kenya in decent estates, in decent areas across Kenya. I will give you a challenge. If you go to Mukuru, one of our largest informal settlements in Kenya, we are today building 14,000 units. And in the next couple of months, before the end of this year, I will be giving out keys to some of those houses that are ready. And for your information, some of these housing units are actually social housing units. For the first time, a mama mboga or a boda boda or an ordinary Kenyan can own a house in a social housing program because they can pay 2,500, 3,000 every month and end up owning that house. There will be other Kenyans who will be owning other units, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, single units, 3 bedroom, and different categories. We are also using that housing program to make sure that we reduce on the cost of mortgage. Now, a teacher, for example, can have a mortgage at 9%. Today, if you go to the mortgage market, you will pay not less than 20%. So we are not only changing the housing program, we are creating jobs. In part of our program is the digital superhighway. We knew very well that there is an opportunity in the digital space because the world is going technology, the world is going digital, and that is why even government of Kenya, we are taking our government services to the digital space. When I came into office, only 320 government services were available online. Today, we have more than 20,000 government services online. And That space is important. And because we want to create more opportunities in the digital space, we are doing two things. Number one, we are working with companies like CCI, for example, companies that have contracts to work from remote, but work for companies in Europe, in America, in other areas. CCI, for example, is working with us. I went to launch in Ruiru their first unit where they are hiring 5,000 Kenyans who are working for JetBlue, companies in America, working from Kenya, and they are paid in dollars. That is one space. And what have we done? We have also done the second thing. We have changed the law on CDF. And we've changed the law on CDF so that it becomes possible for us as a country to invest in ICT hubs. And I have agreed with all members of parliament that every ward will have an ICT hub. I was there yesterday. I was in Kinango yesterday at the Technical Training College in Kinango. And I spoke to a gentleman called Juma. And Juma was telling me how he is making money on forex trading. And this is a student who is in Kinango. I went to Matuga yesterday. At the Technical Training College in Matuga, I met the same. People who are monetizing their talent, people who are earning money on the digital space. And I have been to many parts of Kenya and witnessed many young people in Kenya who today, courtesy of our ICT hubs, they are monetizing their talent, they are working online. Some of them are students. In fact, very interestingly, I went to one school in one college somewhere in Nandi. And I met a gentleman called Brian. And Brian told me, you know, Mr. President, I work for an AI company in Germany. Mind you, Brian has never been to Nairobi. And he doesn't even have a passport. But he works for an AI company in Germany. He makes money. In fact, in that school, the principal told me, we are beginning to have a problem here in this school because some of these students, they earn more than the teachers. So, on the digital space, we are working round the clock. And I have told members of parliament, they need, and I want to ask citizens to demand from our members of parliament that the program we have on ICT hubs, there should be an ICT hub in every ward. We can connect millions of young people to jobs on the digital space, to e-commerce on the digital space, because what government is going to do, members of parliament are going to build the ICT hubs, the government of Kenya is going to deliver internet, the government of Kenya is going to deliver trainers, we are going to deliver computers. It is up to the young people of Kenya to monetize their knowledge, their talent, their expertise, and grow their incomes. That is program number 2. That is going on as I talk to you. We have already distributed 16,000 computers to all our TVETs in Kenya today, not tomorrow. And there are 120,000, mark that number, 120,000 young people in our TVETs who today are earning on the digital platform because of our training and because of what we have done in that digital space. I have changed the management of NEA, National Employment Authority, so that we can tap into opportunities to work outside Kenya. What are we doing in that space? I have negotiated many opportunities. Many people have been asking me, Mr. President, why are you traveling? Yeah? And I want to use this opportunity to answer them. I have been traveling to make sure that I connect Kenyans to jobs, both in country and outside country. We are signing 19 bilateral labor agreements with different countries. In fact, we just concluded one with Germany. So that what happens? So that some of our talented young people, because this is what other countries like Philippines have done. When you have good quality labor, you can use it to drive our economy. In fact, remittances from Kenyans, very hardworking Kenyans outside Kenya, is all the way to about $4 billion. So that is the space we want to use because Kenyans have good education, they speak good English, they are self-motivated, they need less supervision. Any company anywhere in the world will want to hire a Kenyan. And therefore, we must use it because it is the asset that we have. And that is what I have been doing to try and connect Kenyans to jobs outside Kenya. I said today, for example, that those opportunities are available. In fact, if you go to the Ministry of Labor website, there are approximately 400,000 jobs as I talk to you today. Different types of jobs. We must begin to manufacture things, products that can be manufactured in Kenya instead of importing everything from everywhere. There was a time we were importing toothpicks, imagine. Yeah? And there are people who want to tell us we must continue importing things and products. I made a decision that anything that we have the manufacturing capacity in Kenya, any product that we have manufacturing capacity in Kenya, we must begin to apply duty so that we stop products from other countries and build our own manufacturing capacity, hire our own young people, use our own raw materials, build our own wealth. And let me give you an example. Last year, we imposed duty on steel billets, on cement, on clinker, and on furniture. There was a bit of noise last year because I put down my foot and I said, look, if we have manufacturing capacity in Kenya, somebody explain to me why we continue to import these products. Do you know what happened? Because we put duty on those products, steel, for example, steel billets, 11 companies that had closed down because we had opened the door for importing of steel billets. 11 companies today, hiring 16,000 Kenyans, have opened. And they're now hiring Kenyans and producing steel billets locally in Kenya. You know what's interesting? The same people who were complaining last year, I met them this year. And they told me, Mr. President, you see, that duty you imposed on that product last year. I told them, why don't you reduce it from 17% to 10%? They told me, no, keep it at 17%. Why? Because they had now invested in Kenya. They were producing those products locally. And do you know what? We saved 100 billion shillings of foreign exchange because of stopping to import steel billets. These are statistics that are out there, right? So it is partly why our dollar situation is stabilizing, because we have stopped importing things, products that we can manufacture locally. 11 companies that had closed down, steel companies, have opened. They are hiring Kenyans. They are using our local products. Do you know what? I was in Taita Taveta today. And one of the things I'm going to do next month is to go to Taita Taveta, where we have iron ore, which we have been exporting as a raw material. And many people were telling us stories. Now, the same companies who were complaining to me last year, they have said one of them is now going to invest in Taita Taveta iron ore, not to export, but to manufacture steel locally using raw materials from Taita Taveta County, including all the other counties where we have iron ore. That is the difference we make when we make the right decision. So we are building our own local manufacturing capacity. Because of the challenges and the issues that came up in the last couple of weeks, going into 1 month, I committed to the country that I am going to form a broad-based government. And many people are asking me to explain, as on Saturday there is saying, what is this broad-based government? It is broad-based government. That's what it is. It is what it is. Because, you know, because, you know, there has been this feeling that maybe this government is made of William Ruto's friends, right? And William Ruto's buddies. And I said, it is time. You know, I have friends. And I've seen many people ask me, okay, why did you, dismiss the whole cabinet? And then you hired some back. Let me answer it this way. It was necessary to have a fresh start. Because as I told the people of Kenya, we're going to have a broad-based government and we're going to have a fresh start. So that even those I have given another opportunity to serve in cabinet, they must now know that this is new. The terms are different. We may have been friends, but now the terms are different. Number two, I also wanted other people to join in government, because for a long time as Kenyans, we've been divided on sides. And that's why I decided this time around, let me form an administration that has the broader face of Kenya. And that is why you see some of the members of my new cabinet coming from different formations, political formations. And I said I'm going to consult. And I'm going to talk to people who are willing to talk to me. There are those who did not want to talk to me, and that's fine. That's democracy. There are those whom we sat down and we agreed with, and we agreed on the agenda. What are we going to do? In fact, at some point, I was having a conversation, and the conversation went like, okay, the housing program. The housing program was in the manifesto of ODM and was in the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza. True? They're all there. The UHC program, it was on both sides of the divide. There are things that are common between us. And my question is, those things that we have no contest about, can we agree on those things and move the country forward on the things that are not in contention between the sides? And that is how we agreed with ODM to work on the broad-based government that captures some of the items that we all agree on. Number two, let me clarify, as the party leader of ODM did, that we did not form a coalition government so that nobody should tell us we're trying to compromise the opposition. We did not form, we have no formal coalition arrangement. What we have is running an administration on matters that we have agreed, members of ODM who have agreed to come and work with us so that we can put the country first and be able to deal with the challenges that brings Kenya to where it is, whether it is our housing plan, whether it is matters to do with UHC, and all the other items that we agree on as a nation are important to the people of Kenya. I am not very keen on who takes the credit. I am keen on the transformation of Kenya. I have suggested very specific interventions on how to deal with the challenge of corruption. I have said we must change the Evidence Act so that corruption cases doesn't take 5, 10 years. That is what happens today. That we should be able to conclude corruption cases in 6 months. I will be making the proposal to Parliament. I hope Parliament agrees with me, so that we can deal with the challenge and monster of corruption firmly and decisively. Number two, I have given my undertaking to the judiciary. In fact, I had an engagement with the Chief Justice a few days ago on my support, on my administration's support for the judiciary. It is demonstrable. When I came into office, I made sure that the judiciary has sufficient resources to be able to discharge their mandate, to be able to deal with corruption cases, to be able to deal with all the other cases. In fact, I am the president that has sworn in the highest number of judges in the shortest time in Kenya to facilitate the judiciary to be able to discharge their mandate. Because it is said, justice delayed is justice denied. And you can ask from members of the judiciary my support for the judiciary. In fact, when I came into office, there were 6 judges that have been denied their right to be appointed. I appointed them the first day when I got into office to demonstrate my commitment to the judiciary. Let me also say the following, that on the subject of corruption, I am very clear in my mind, and I will mobilize resources that are available. I will mobilize every resource that is available to deal with the challenge of corruption. How else would I have 12 of my cabinet secretaries out if I wasn't listening? More than half of my cabinet have left. It has never happened in Kenya. It has never happened in Kenya's history that more than half the cabinet has gone in one go. So I am listening, and I have said, even the ladies and gentlemen that have come back to cabinet, they have come back to cabinet on new terms. We may have been friends, we may have been acquaintances, we may have, but now this is different. You know, we are going to work on the timelines the people of Kenya have given us. And some of the good gentlemen that I have, and ladies that I have brought on board, are people who have a proven track record. And many of them, Kenyans agree, have done a good job wherever they've been.